But although mid-century architecture has had its setbacks, mid-century furniture is definitely in style. It is sought after by many, and on the forefront of this demand is
Retro Vegas.
this store, located in, well, a previous warehouse, specializes in the sale of mid-century modern furniture and accessories and has recently expanded into vintage clothing. In some circles, this store is becoming somewhat of an icon. It has been featured on the cover of the Las Vegas Sun, City Life, and Las Vegas Weekly. It was even noted in Sunset Magazine, and Fromer's Guide even gives it a AA rating. The owners of Retro Vegas, Mark Comstock and Bill Johnson, have become experts in the identification and value of modern furniture from the 50s and the 60s. I sat down with both to ask a couple questions. I begin by speaking with Bill Johnson at the store before they opened the doors for the day's business. Dr. Bill Johnson has had a varied career. With his PhD in archaeology, he has worked in that field and was influential in opening the Atomic Testing Museum here in Las Vegas. In fact, he was the museum's second director. So why drop all of that to start this business?
All right, so in 2007, I was to the point that I was done with the museum business. It was more than a bit stressful. And as we wrapped up that year, Mark and I decided, it's just time to move on. We wanted to take a long vacation, which we did. And when we got back, we started looking at various options. What do we want to do? We looked at opening a convenience store. We looked at opening a bar. We looked at opening a laundromat. And along the way, we came up with an idea of a resale store and just talked it over and started kicking around different ideas and ended up focusing on what became Retro Vegas. So that's really the inception of how it started.
Why mid-century modern furniture?
Okay, and mid-century was part of our thing anyway. We had focused on mid-century houses that where our purchase power was going. Of course, furnishing mid-century houses with mid-century furniture was a natural, so we already knew quite a bit about it. When we started the business, we didn't realize how much we did not know about mid-century modern furnishings. But we learned quickly because we did have a heads up on it.
What do you say to people that call your business as well a used furniture store?
It is used furniture. It absolutely is used furniture. But it's also curated furniture. These are pieces that have lasted a long time and that we've had to do some work to them to bring them back to what they were. So curated as well as used furniture. And in terms of, some people have said, wow, your stuff is pricey. I say a knowledgeable buyer is our best buyer, because then you've looked around and you see what prices are out there and you know how much these items go for. We're happy to deal with that. And we're always happy to negotiate if we need to.
So this is the question that everybody really wants to know. Where do you get all of this stuff?
Of course, we go to estate sales and anywhere else that we can find these items. But our focus is on estate sales. Given that we're in Las Vegas, representing the time period of the 50s, 60s, and 70s, there really weren't that many people living here at the time to be able for us to furnish our business. But so many retirees have moved to Las Vegas and brought with them their furniture. And as they pass away and move on and their heirs don't necessarily care about their mid-century furnishings, that's where we come into estate sales and start picking stuff up. And a lot of times it's not showroom ready. It needs work. There may be fabric issues on the fabric covered chairs. There may be wood issues on the wood top tables. etc., etc. We've figured out how to bring those things back to life.
I next spoke with Bill about maintaining that balance between historical importance and keeping the doors open for business. I think I also discovered some insight on how he applies an archaeological background to the understanding of furniture from the 1960s. We talk about a furniture's provenance. Can
Yes.
you define what that means?
Okay, provenance, especially in terms of archaeology, for me personally, is an object knowing where it's come from. In the cases when you've dug it from the ground, that you've actually measured how deep in the ground, what strata it's located with, what it's associated with, is it associated with a fire pit, etc., etc. For furniture, like this piece of furniture that I'm sitting on, the provenance is where did you get it from, what estate sale, what did you know about the other items that were in that estate sale, what's happened to it since then, has it been recovered, being able to convey that provenance information to the customer that's going to buy it.
But let's hear what he has to say about starting and running a store that concerns itself with historical significance, yet still needs to make a profit. Do you deal with reproductions or knockoffs?
Yes, occasionally, but rarely do we deal with reproductions, because there's some items that are still being produced today that are actually not considered knockoffs at all. They are production processes, like the Eames lounge chair, which is still being made today. It's been in production since 1956. We had it at a good price, but those chairs are expensive no matter what, whether you buy them new or whether you buy them vintage.
You have to know what you're buying. What's your secret?
The secret is research. Research, research, research. Sometimes, though, you are looking at an item, you have no idea what it is, but it's cool. And then you do the research later and find out, oh, this is something from IKEA. Whoops. 80s and back IKEA. Some of it's very collectible and some of it lasts a while. But modern IKEA, I'm sorry, it's not made very well. And I'm not going to compete with them. They have IKEA stores all over the place.
So how much time do you spend on research?
I would say probably half my time doing the store work is spent on research.
So some say, you've kind of talked about this before, but some people say that your used furniture is too expensive. Care to comment?
Yeah, as I said, people who have expressed that opinion usually do not know a lot about the product. And what I've often told customers when they've come in and said that is, if you're from someplace like the Midwest, the prices on our pieces here may look quite expensive. But if you're visiting from LA, people often say, wow, your prices are so cheap. So it depends on what market you're in and how much you know about the items.
Okay.
And I'm always happy to provide explanation to any customer that's asking.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
You bet. Thanks, Steve.
I next spoke with Mark Comstock, where I caught up with him in the back lot of Retro Vegas. I asked him about the history of the property and maybe even something about the future. I have with me Mark Comstock, the co-owner of Retro Vegas. He and his husband, Bill Johnson, are the owners of this location. I just want to ask you one simple question. I know you didn't start at this location. You started it at a different location down the street. Can you give us a little background? Can you give us a story of the history of this site?
Well, it originally was a car wash. Then it became Phil's Salvage for decades. And then...
So Phil's Salvage, that was...
hardware store.
It was a hardware store.
Basically, yeah. And he specialized in old fixtures like green toilets, pink toilets, stuff like that.
Okay. Well, you acquired this place. It was a company that did big, large parties.
So it was
Events planner.
events planner. So the place was just move in ready. You just moved right in.
Oh no, it was stacked to the ceiling.
With what kind of stuff?
Everything you can imagine, including monster disco balls.
I think
Welcome to fabulous Las Vegas signs.
I think you still have the disco ball, don't you?
And the Welcome to fabulous Las Vegas sign, one of them.
So how long did it take you to clear this place out?
We started October 1st, and we didn't get through until March 1st.
A lot of effort went into it. I remember. I was here too.
Yes, you helped.
Anything else? What's the future bring for Retro Vegas?
Just continue doing what we do.
All right. Thanks, Mark.
As Mark stated, when they got their storefront location, it was a warehouse for a large events planning company. It was stuffed to the rafters with tablecloths, chair covers, and napkins of every color and material. It also held the accessories and decorations needed for pretty well any themed or any sized party. But one thing that really strikes me about mid-century architecture and furniture is that the designers seriously considered how something would function when developing their designs. Let's look at the words of Louis Sullivan. Sullivan was an architect known for his pioneering development of the building we now call the skyscraper. He wrote one of the most famous statements ever made about design, that form must follow function. To be precise, he actually stated, form ever follows function. As an interesting note, Frank Lloyd Wright was Louis Sullivan's protege for 7 years. Now I could sit here and talk about form and function all day, but I could never summarize it as well as Charles Ames, the designer of this iconic chair. Charles Eames stated, "In our chairs, we have not attempted to solve the problem of how people should sit. Instead, we accepted the way people do sit and operated within that framework." It's a simple statement. Form shall follow function. And if you think about it, how would you logically implement that concept? The result would be simple lines and less ornate stuff that just gets in the way. For the good designers and architects, the result was a beautiful combination of function and form. Let me give you a simple example. These salad tongs were presented to me as a gift, and I truly use these things. In fact, when I first got them, the old ones, well, let's just say, they went away. Not only do they look cool, they are simply more nimble for their intended function of transferring leafy green vegetables from a large bowl to a small bowl. The handle's narrow and are tapered for easy handling. They work. Form follows function. So these salad tongs are what I will use to personify the mid-century modern movement. The sleek design, the quality construction, and the aesthetics are absolutely unmatched. Again, a simple but beautiful combination of function and form that summarizes our past, but also points us to the future. I'm not sure how far Las Vegas will go towards mid-century preservation. For that, I guess we will just have to wait and see. But I do have a pretty good idea that the mid-century modern movement will live on.